hidden meanings in the Bible. It's very interesting because Jesus Christ said, "Unto you is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom." He's talking about those who are disciples of his, who do what he says, which means meditation. Okay, go on up. But to those who are without, that means stay without, do not go within, all of these things are parable. The Apostle Paul said, "Be not a minister of the letter, for the letter kills." In other words, don't take the Bible literally. In Galatians 4:24, the Apostle Paul says, talking of biblical things in the Old Testament, which things are an allegory. An allegory is a symbolic story which uses outer things that seem to be historical only to convey a deeper truth which is mystical or spiritual. And with that in mind, let's take a look at the death of John the Baptist. Let's not look at it from a historical point of view, because that's ridiculous if we're really saying this is a Bible. If it's a Bible, then it has to be a spiritual story, and it has to then have a relevance for you. Otherwise, it's something that happened 2,000 years ago, and who cares? And I'll tell you something. If you go into Matthew 14:1 to 14:12, the episodes concerning John the Baptist are filled with occult significance. And occult doesn't mean, sacrificing cats and all of that stuff. It means hidden. Jesus never spoke but in a parable. That means that's a cult. We get hung up on words, but that's what the word really means. If you look it up in the dictionary, you'll find it means hidden. If you'll follow carefully, you'll see that each character in the drama of the death of John the Baptist is a symbol of one of the 7 principal aspects of man, which are covered by the 7 chakras through the book of Revelation. In Matthew 14:2, King Herod said, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead." Now, why did Herod say that John the Baptist was risen from the dead? Because Jesus taught that John the Baptist was a reincarnation of Elijah. If you look at Matthew 11, okay, Matthew 11, and in Matthew 11, verse 14, Jesus Christ says this. He says, "If you will receive it," and he's talking about John the Baptist, "this is Elijah, which was for to come." So, Jesus Christ is saying that Elijah has reincarnated into John the Baptist. And so Herod, in Matthew 14:2, turns around and says, John the Baptist is risen from the dead. Because what he was saying was that this John the Baptist is actually now manifesting physically that which was Elijah who had died. See? And that came strictly from Jesus, who said that John the Baptist was the reincarnation of Elijah. Okay? John the Baptist must be in you. John the Baptist has a spiritual, a mystical significance in your life. You shouldn't read about a man. When you read the Bible about John the Baptist, you should read about yourself, because John the Baptist means the awakening of conscience to turn from the lower mind to the higher. See? That is, John the Baptist is that part of you which directs you to the awakening, that part of you which directs you to the Christ. Herod is the carnal mind, the lustful ambitions of the flesh. And then you're going to run into in this a lady by the name of Herodias, who is the mother of Salome. And she represents desire of the emotions. So this is a drama then, the death of John the Baptist, between your awakening mind, which is John the Baptist, awakening you to Christ, and your inner senses, the lower flesh, the carnal mind, which is represented by Herod and Salome and the gang that eventually kills John the Baptist. There's a struggle taking place between your John the Baptist mind, which is trying to lead you to Christ consciousness within yourself, and your Herod flesh, which is trying to keep you down to the area of sensuality, to the area of physical desire. And that's in Romans 8:7. It says in the Bible in Romans 8:7 that the carnal mind is the enemy of God. That's your human mind is God's enemy, that it cannot obey the law of God, that it is not subject to the law of God. And so this here is the struggle, not between John the Baptist and Herod, but between your higher mind represented by John the Baptist and your lower mind represented by Herod and Salome. See? So you know that John the Baptist was put in prison. So that what you have to do when you read that and say, well, are you going to read it as a history book? Say, no, I want to read it as a Bible story. That is, I want to know what it symbolically means, and I want to understand it mystically. John the Baptist, or that part of your mind which would awaken and lead you to the Christ who is within you. Remember John 14:20, Jesus says, at that time you will know, I am in the Father, you in me, and I in you. That aspect of you, that John the Baptist aspect, is bound and in bondage and put in prison. It is locked away. and it is locked away by your own carnal, lustly ego. That's why Jesus Christ said, you look and look, but you don't see. You listen and listen, but you don't hear, you don't understand. And Jesus says that the kingdom of God is given to those who enter within, but to those who are without, it's a parable. That's why they look and look, but they don't see and they don't understand. So the reason here that John the Baptist, or your higher consciousness that would lead you to Christ, is in bondage to the lower mind is because the awakened mind, or John the Baptist, was saying you cannot have relations with your brother's wife. You remember the story? John the Baptist was saying to Herod, you cannot have sexual intercourse with your brother's wife. Well, here you have to say, now what does that mean to me? I know that John the Baptist means the part of me that leads me to Christ within. I know that Herod is the lower carnal mind. Who is my brother's wife? You have 4 brothers. Okay? Those are the fourfold nature of your body. You have spirit, emotion, physical, and intellectual. Those are your 4 brothers. Okay? Your brother's wife is the emotional desire, the nature of the flesh. Wife, woman, always means emotions. Mind, male, masculine means mind. For instance, where you see it says a wife must be subjected to her husband, does not mean that physically. Literally, if you take that literally, you're violating the Bible. It doesn't mean a wife must be subjected to her husband. It means the emotions, wife, must be subjected to the renewed mind, husband. Okay? That's what it means. And that's a symbolic language in the same way I said shoot the bull, or, spilled the beans, or, whatever. I'm just trying to think of some others. I'm sure you can think of a lot of them. He shot his mouth off. He's 3 sheets to the wind, Those things are all symbolic. And here in the ancient mysticism, when the ancients wrote symbolically, parabolically, allegorically, the word wife or female was emotions. The word husband or mind was word husband or male was mind. So it means that the emotions must be subjected to the renewed mind. So your brother's wife is your own emotional desire, okay? That part of you, you have 4 brothers, intellectual, physical, spiritual, and emotional, and one of the aspects, one of the lives of those brothers is that which is the desire, the flesh, the emotions.